Megan, it's so nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
And it really, really is. Maybe you'll tell us a little bit. Well, you and I met. Where?
Oh, we met in very interesting circumstances at one of those, it was the best of times and the worst of times kind of my life. I had just come back to Connecticut after being in a relatively abusive marriage out on the West Coast. And I came back to Connecticut, and my life was a mess, and my daughter was a little baby, and I was, struggling, doing the single mom thing, and I looked like I had probably just come out of a trash can or something like that. I was wearing this ripped old tie-dye dress. I had my hair all these little braid thingies, and here I go, and I'm walking into muddy waters, just not even knowing what's going on. And I ended up meeting a film director. Nick Checker. Yes, Nick Checker, right. Who was directing the film Trashed about eminent domain in New London,
right.
And who happened to be, the big shebang in the whole film Trashed, right. Father Russ here. And then we got talking, and you were reading and I was reading, and, we got to know each other. And
yeah. Hard times. It was a struggle back then,
it
right?
was. I was working at Dunkin' Donuts, and I was just in one of those, mentally and, economically, and everything was just like disaster, I was like, I was either going to make...
And it's really interesting. The baby now, your baby was just a baby. The baby's now 5.
5 years old.
Faith is 5 years old. Now you're going to school now?
Yep, I ended up, I was in school part-time at Three Rivers starting in 2006. It was 2005 when I came home. And I went, a couple classes at a time, here and there. And then I ended up, I kept my grades up. I always say I've done a lot, almost everything you can do wrong in your life at one point in time I've done, except at least years ago when I dropped out of school, I did it the right way so I wouldn't get bad grades, So then when I went back, I kept getting good, I got good grades, I worked hard, and then I just ended up getting a scholarship up to Nichols College in Dudley, Massachusetts. For their accounting program, so now I'm up
be
there.
Like my Elizabeth, another accountant, another bean counter.
Oh, I like it. I like it. After all the gray areas that I've seen in my life, it's black and white. This is the answer. This is how it goes. It's structured.
I know Elizabeth's in Canada. She loves it. She became an accountant. It's a good field. But you got a radio show too. We want to.
Yep.
Right, you're on. When are you on?
I'm on every Monday on it's www.nichols.edu WCRN, and it's 12 to 2 every Monday afternoon. It's called B-Side Radio. I play all the songs you've probably never heard of and some that you have, and. It's a lot of Tom Waits and John Prine and Bob Dylan that people have, underground Bob Dylan stuff. Things that, a lot of people have heard of, but most general public haven't heard. And
your poetry, of course, one of the reasons I called you about was I wanted to know where you were with the poetry. Every now and then, Father's done a few shows. We've done a few shows on different...
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah, and we kind of did heavy shows lately, and some of them are depressing.
There's heavy things going on in the world.
They are, and you're a story that obviously was light to my heart. You've really done well in the 5 years now that you're doing very, very well, and that's a blessing to me and everybody, and you do. If you want to put it together, you show people can put it together.
Well, it's hard. It takes a lot of. I really have to say, I'm not really a very religious person, but I would say that it's all God as to why I've ended up where I have been. It's given me the strength, it's given me the ability, to get there. I don't know how I've done it. I've worked hard. I've gotten lucky a lot of times. I ended up getting into housing up in Putnam, Connecticut, where I live, and I like it a lot. And it was luck, I knew the right people, got in places. People have been there to help me. And
I was just going to say.
I don't know. People say to me all the time, they're like, how do you end up so lucky? It's like I don't know. But there's been a lot of times where that luck hasn't been there. I just like to talk about the times that I was lucky,
I know. Well.
To me at certain times. And it also, I can say it all now and be like, oh yeah, it's all this great story and everything like that. But there were times where I really was there and I was like, wow, how did I end up in this this predicament? How did I end up in this mess? You know, how did I end up like just having to deal with all this stuff? And when you're going, I've been on, you know, in the welfare system, on food stamps, you know, WIC, housing, you know, federal financial aid. I mean, at the point that I'm in right now, it's like, you know, the government pays for my school, you know, the state pays for my cash, I'm on the food stamps, you know, and I'm utilizing the programs because I'm in college, but it's like, it's very hard, you know. You wind up in a predicament where they really kind of, they got you, and they're helping you, but they got you. And a lot, getting into those programs, going through the court system, dealing with the custody issues. I mean, there's a price for everything, and there's a paper for everything, and you got to do all the paperwork, and it can really be a nightmare. But once you kind of, and it's not over, you know, it's never over, and it never goes away. You know, I never forget the dark places I've been in. I'll never forget getting into my own apartment for the first time and having hardly any food in the house, and they won't give you more food stamps because, well, you got to wait till next month.
Right.
And you got to go to the food pantry, and you're bringing your little 4-year-old in there, and it's like you're just choking up inside, and you're really touched that, oh, and there are these people here that have donated this food, and there are these people here that are volunteering their time to help you. But nobody, when they're, say, like a little girl says, oh, Mom, when I grow up, you know, I can't wait to be a single mom and have to go to the food pantry, you know? And you're like, you're choked, and it almost, I don't know why, that just really touched me that day, but I'm glad I have those feelings there.
But look at what you have to draw on for your
know.
daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, God forbid.
Lessons I can teach her, you know. And
No, that's phone line 1. No, it's not showing in here. Oh, thank you. Okay.
Well, I took a trip out to New York back in, when was that? It was March, May, something like that. I went out there to go see this singer, John Prine. And I took one of my little woman independence trips, you know, where I went out to New York by myself when, like, you know, I've never been to New York.
Are you talking about the city or state?
Oh, the city. I went and took the metro out there, and yeah, I wrote some poetry. I haven't written a lot of poetry because I'm so wrapped up with school and my daughter and, you know, just family life and all that. But I wrote some stuff out there, and it's not as serious and, you know, as into the issues as some stuff I had written previously, but it makes me happy because, well, it's not about all these big, heavy issues. It shows my life is happier. So I wrote one that, this is one that is untitled that was a favorite at poetry one night. There are lots of people with big dogs who look like other people that I know. That's how it was in New York. There was all these people with all these big dogs, and I'm like, that looks like that guy that I know. And I'm like, no, you're in New York. This is a million miles away from anybody you know, it seems. And
people say I look like my pit.
I actually used to take my Newfie down to New York and take them for a walk, just walk around the city.
There you
I
go.
love New York. Oh. And then here's another short one that I wrote. No time left but the present, backwards, forwards, and all we can do is run. And then I'll do one more. This is a little bit longer, at least, much more like a poem than just a line. I wrote this when I was on the train. Billboards, graffiti, cosmic conflict, what we pass by and never notice, houses all the same, New London, Fall River, New Haven, cars parked sideways, the factory continues to produce, and the backhoe continues to dig the hole. And that's it for the poetry.
There you go. There you go.
I was thinking about the economy and the things going on and everything and how they're affecting everybody with the lack thereof of jobs, and it's a scary place.
You mentioned that the poetry is a little more upbeat, well, a lot more upbeat than it used to be. And,
yes.
And maybe you could just expand on that, because I know for me also, poetry can be cathartic and release a lot of stuff that maybe I don't want to talk about, you know, intimately with people, but somehow it comes out in the words.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that when I first met Father at Muddy Waters, when we were doing readings there, which now it's moved to the Bean and Leaf on, what is that road? The Bean and Leaf is on Washington Street, or?
Gee, because I forget. Is
I
that
don't know.
Washington Street?
Yeah,
I think the Bean and Leaf.
every Sunday they have 2 to 4, there's
Levine's
readings,
building.
and every Thursday 8 to 10. But they used to do it over at Muddy Waters down on Bank Street. And I wrote some stuff that, Lord, I look back on that and I'm like, why did I tell all those people that? You know, it was a lot of like really deep stuff about like I was, you know, involved with some like really kind of negative